So hey everybody, you just heard a part of the score to the very creepy, very eerie new film with Scarlett Johansson in it, and it's called Under the Skin. It is an independent release, so some of you might not get it in your area quite yet. Luckily, I live in a place where they have a Sundance cinema. We're one of the few states that has it. So I was able to see Under the Skin recently, since I know it did pretty well at a few film festivals, I believe, in 2013, and I think even a few in early 2014, even. So, in Under the Skin, you guys, it's very much a Stanley Kubrick styled film. It definitely reminded me of like 2001: A Space Odyssey and Species in a way. For those who've seen that, with an alien that looks like a really gorgeous woman, and she's trying to get impregnated so she can make alien babies here on Earth. So imagine if Species and 2001: A Space Odyssey were the same film. Like if Stanley Kubrick took on both those films, like if he took on 2001 again and he took on Species and tried to add that element into it. You would get Under the Skin pretty much. So in this film, you guys, basically an alien comes to Earth. You really never, well, you do see at one point in the film, what this alien actually looks like. But basically, this alien has the ability to go inside a human body, live inside that body, make people believe that this alien is that person. And I'm assuming this alien's a female of some kind, since she seems to, um, you know, have this desire for sex and things like that, like a woman would. And she goes into the body of a prostitute in Scotland, and this prostitute's played by Scarlett Johansson. And what you basically see throughout the course of the film, since there really isn't a lot of a plot, I would say, obviously there's a lot of things going on that have a similar theme and same certain things occur again over and over again. But as far as plot goes, basically she's going around in this truck that apparently she steals or managed to get a hold of, and she's able to attract men into the truck and take them off into these closed off areas. And basically, she doesn't really even have sex with them either. What she does is she takes her clothes off and she leads them into these dark rooms that never really seem to have an end. She just keeps walking through them. And, since she has this really attractive body, these men follow her. And it's kind of neat how they do this effect. These men walk toward her, and then they kind of look like they're walking in the quicksand in the process. And so they get stuck into this black smudge-like material, and or black sludge, if you want to call it that, and they get stuck in there. They can't move. They kind of freeze in time in there, as you'll see in the film, and they kind of decompose over time. And so one thing this film never really goes over, it never really explains to us, is this alien trying to harvest like life on the planet? Is this kind of the alien's way of marking its territory? Trying to get other members of its species to Earth or things like that. So the film never goes into detail of why this alien's getting all these men into this black sludge, and always going around in this truck, and we're getting several different kinds of men. And she doesn't really go after like married men or anything like that. She always tries to go after single men that have nothing going on. They have no agenda. And she tries to she convinces them every way she can, to be really pretty and everything's like that, to get them into this truck and take them off to this closed off area. And so throughout the course of the film, the more this alien's inside this human body, the more human it starts to feel. It starts to have regret and feelings of happiness, feelings of sadness. It has more of an emotion at this point. Um, and also this alien starts to realize like deformities on Earth, and how every man isn't the same, how there's men who are going to do this and going to do that, and how how some men just want to talk, and some men just some men just want to have sex, and some men just they want to socialize and things like that. So over the course of time, this alien starts to realize that these humans aren't just about reproduction. A lot of them have there's more meaning to what they do than what she starts to believe after a while. So basically, it's about this alien, trying to adapt to human life, trying to adapt to the species that she took over pretty much when she got to Earth, and we kind of follow her on this adventure. So Under the Skin, you guys, I thought it was an okay film. I liked the art house direction for a little bit. I did like kind of how like it was a Stanley Kubrick styled film for a while. I thought that was kind of interesting for a little bit. It kind of ran out of steam for me for a while, But I'll get to the positives and negatives where we'll really go in depth of what I really liked and didn't like. With me being spoiler free, of course. So I liked the effective. So for the positives, I really liked the effective horror film vibe this film had. It definitely was very creepy, very eerie. Um, and that goes to my next point, where I think the musical score in this was very great, very creepy. Whoever did the musical score of this film probably did the best contribution that this film has, which is the musical score. Very effective musical score, I thought, in this. It was very fitting to what the theme of the movie was about, I thought. Scarlett Johansson takes on a really intriguing performance here. She just really nails it. You really get the impression that she's this alien trying to understand human life better, human behavior better, and it's just kind of intriguing to see. And you'll see at one point throughout the film, she meets like this deformed man, and really starts to sympathize and really feel things that every human being is going to feel at some point in their life. So once again, I like the Stanley Kubrick styled scenes. I thought those were pretty interesting to watch. Like I said, though, they kind of ran out of steam after a while, but they were cool for when they lasted. But once there was a little too many of them, kind of wore off for me for a while. I like the aliens' observations on typical and unusual human behavior. It was very interesting to see that play out. Kind of how this alien's realizing that not every human's the same. Not every human's gonna want to reproduce the second they look at a gorgeous woman, and some of them just want to talk. Some of them just want to experience things. Some of them just want to live their life, and if love happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I kind of like how this alien starts to realize that there's all this diversity in the world after a while, after being on Earth here for a really long time. But for the negatives of this film, I don't really like how the film never really turns into anything. It never really makes a point if this is a film about an alien trying to take over the Earth, an alien that's just trying to better understand humans. Is it about this alien harvesting all this men flesh and this black sludge and trying to make the planet her own? It never really gets into detail of what it's about, and unfortunately, I think that does wear the film down, just because you watch all this really good looking material for 2 hours, but it doesn't really turn into anything. And I really wish that the film had an idea of what it was trying to be. Um, there's too many unanswered playouts. Certain things like, how come that guy got out of the black sludge? How come this happened? How come that happened? How come this person got away? How come Scarlett feels like this? And a second ago she wanted sex more than ever. How come this happened? How come this happened? How come this happened? And it never really explains it. I think it's just a lazy script. It just really doesn't want to explain anything. It doesn't want to answer anything, and as a result, it feels like a very lazy script, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of empty time in these scenes. Just a lot of scenes where either Scarlett's staring off into space, nothing's really going on. We see her fall asleep. Ooh, wow! I feel so engaged. We see her fall asleep, or we see somebody try to break into her car, and just a lot of things that just a lot of empty time, and just a lot of things. Just like, I really wish that they could have used a scene in its place that could have built the storyline better and just would have made a better film overall. The film also drags in many scenes. There's a lot of scenes in here that really drag on for much longer than they need to, and it just kind of got on me after a while. Just kind of, I wanted something to go at a quicker pace after a while. I don't like how the film becomes overly art house. It runs out of steam. It really runs out of steam after a while. The art house that they did in this film, like those directions that they took with it almost felt like they could have used this for two different kind of films, because there was so much of it. And yeah, like I said, for like the first hour, I was fine with it, but by the second hour, I just really wanted something that had more of a storyline, more of a point, and it became overly art house. It was a quiet art house at that too, and it just went on for a little bit too long. And then once again, the film has no establishment of what this alien is trying to do and what it can't do. Why can't it do this? How come it can't do this? How come it never realizes this? How come it's doing this all of a sudden? There's really no establishment of what this alien is and what it can and can't do. And I think if they made those ground rules pretty clear right away, once again, I think this film would have been much better. Um, but overall, guys, I think Under the Skin is an okay film. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There really is a lot of problems with it. I think it's neat for what it's trying to do, but yeah, it just kind of ran out of steam for me after a while. And I really just wanted something that was a little bit more engaging. It actually felt like there was more writing involved with it, and it just didn't quite engage me the way I think the film director of this film wanted me to be engaged with it. So 7 out of 10, it's okay. If you really want to see it, if you're a fan of Scarlett Johansson like I am, it might be worth a rental someday, but don't expect anything spectacular. Maybe if you're a Stanley Kubrick fan, you might really get into this. But yeah, 7 out of 10. It's okay. I like the intentions of the film, but the overall end product was not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. So 7 out of 10. It's an okay film.